the crimes that they've committed, it goes beyond, sadly, child sex trafficking and rape. We are talking about torture. We are talking about Dr. Mengele kind of experiments. We are talking about cannibalism. We are talking about murders. It's been my strong belief for a decade now, that many of the victims are dead. I believe that there's probably been thousands of victims, and I believe that most of them, especially the babies and the toddlers, are probably did not survive long at all. I mean, most children cannot survive being raped repeatedly every single day for more than a few weeks or a few months. So now the world is learning that it goes much darker and much deeper than Jeffrey Epstein and his associates raping and trafficking barely legal teens.
I was very disturbed by what I was looking at. It's hard to go through, and for people who do, you've been I hate to use the word, but curating the emails on your X account so you can follow Liz on X, and she pulls out and puts into context and retweeting people who are doing a great job, other great, independent people who are going through these and putting them in context. To see what we're talking about, because you have a lot of people out there telling you, oh, it's boring. It's so boring. There's nothing to see here. But you mentioned the torture emails, and that was really disturbing to me. And we have some examples of those. I was actually looking for what it says here. Oh, yeah. There's a guy named Martin Nowak. I had to look him up. I didn't know who he was, but apparently he's a preeminent mathematician. He wrote to Ghislaine and Epstein back in, I believe it was 2002, about torturing a female spy while he was visiting them in 2002. Okay, there's that one. And then there is this particularly vile recounting of one of Epstein's underage victims, who was basically used according to her account. And I wanted you to tell me if this is true, because it was included in the dump. There's a diary write of this young woman who's saying that she was used as an incubator at his Zorro ranch because he was obsessed with creating the perfect offspring. So it wasn't even just about the rape and the torture, like you said, and probably murder. He also had this fascination with genetics and creating a superior human.
Yeah. So, he talked about how he was superior and he wanted to create a superior race. And we also know that he wanted to seed the race with his DNA. Even the mainstream media has been reporting that for years. And he wanted to turn the Zorro Ranch into a baby breeding farm. I believe he was already doing that. And we know from Virginia Giuffre that not only was he not just raping her, he was also torturing her. She named one of the rooms in his New York City mansion the torture chamber, and him and Ghislaine Maxwell also wanted her to have their baby. They were obsessed with people having babies for them. Virginia Giuffre got pregnant at one point, and I believe this is when Ehud Barak allegedly violently raped her, and he violently raped her so badly that she lost a baby. And she woke up in a hospital, and they had done some kind of medical procedure on her, and they told her that she had lost the baby. But the way that she wrote it in her book almost implies that maybe she didn't lose the baby. Maybe they just stole it from her. So to get back to the email you were talking about, there have been other survivors that have made allegations that they were pregnant and they had the baby, and then the baby was ripped for them. And so how many girls have had their babies stolen from them from Epstein and or members of his ring? And what happened to those children? Were those children just used for their crazy torture experiments, for their MK Ultra stuff? Were those babies just used to be trafficked? I mean, sky is the limit here, because we do know that he was involved in all different kinds of things. And so, you can kind of let your imagination run wild, but then you really don't need to, because it's all in the emails what he was into. And again, it just goes way beyond the torture and the trafficking.
But then you have Todd Blanche and you have Kash Patel telling you that there were no other perpetrators, that it was Jeffrey Epstein himself. And most people don't believe that. And if you look at these emails, obviously they contradict that. And what really bothers me, and obviously it bothers Elon Musk as well, because he was demanding answers in a tweet about the 9-year-old Brazilian girl. And he says this one seemed really important not to redact, is that the names of the people involved in these emails most often are being redacted. When it seems like they're involved based on what they're saying to Jeffrey Epstein and Jeffrey Epstein saying to them in these emails, they're involved. I would consider them, co-conspirators, right?